Elias had spent most of his life on the ocean. After decades of fishing, he believed there was nothing left the sea could surprise him with. He was wrong. It started as a normal fishing trip. The sky was clear, the wind was calm, and the ocean stretched endlessly around his small boat. But sometime after noon, something strange appeared on the horizon. A piece of land. Elias frowned. He knew these waters like the back of his hand. Every rock, every reef, every island. Yet this wasn't on any of his charts. Curiosity slowly replaced his confusion. He steered the boat closer. As the shape grew clearer, Elias realized it was indeed an island small, covered with thick forest, and completely silent. No boats, no smoke, no signs of life, just untouched land rising from the sea. He anchored his boat near the shore and stepped onto the sand. That was when everything changed. Only a few steps in, Elias felt something crack beneath his boot. He looked down. At first he thought it was driftwood. Then his heart skipped. It was a bone, not small either, long, white, weathered by the sun. Elias slowly lifted his head and looked around the beach, and that's when he noticed them. Dozens of strange wooden sculptures planted in the sand, each one carved roughly, almost like warning totems. Some had symbols scratched into them, others had words, messages, warnings. Elias felt a cold chill crawl down his spine. Whoever had made those signs clearly wanted people to stay away. He pulled out his phone and quickly dialed 911. Nothing. No signal. He checked again. Still nothing. The island was completely cut off from the outside world. Now he had a decision to make. Leave immediately, or find out what this place really was. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Dark clouds rolled across the sky as the wind began pushing waves harder against the shore. A storm was coming. Elias looked back at his boat. Old, worn, not something he trusted in heavy weather. He sighed. There was no choice. He had to wait out the storm. Rain began falling as Elias stepped cautiously into the forest. The deeper he walked, the quieter the world became. No engines, no voices, only the sound of leaves moving in the wind. Eventually he spotted something ahead, a small hut, made from branches and large leaves. Someone had built it, which meant one thing. Someone lived here. Elias rushed toward the shelter as the rain intensified. Inside, he sat quietly, gripping the knife he always carried while fishing. The storm raged outside, but something else made his skin crawl, the strange feeling that he was being watched. Hours later, the rain finally stopped. Sunlight filtered through the trees again. Birds started chirping. Everything seemed peaceful again, until Elias heard footsteps. Not animals, human. His heart began pounding. He turned and ran deeper into the forest, desperate not to be seen. But after several minutes of running, a terrifying realization hit him. He had no idea where he was. And worse, he had no idea how to get back to the beach. Elias tried to calm himself. If I just walk straight, he muttered, I'll reach the edge eventually. So he chose a direction and started walking. What he didn't realize was that this simple decision would lead him much deeper into the island than he had ever intended to go. And someone was already watching it. Elias had been walking for nearly half an hour when the forest suddenly went quiet. Too quiet. Even the birds had stopped singing. Then he saw movement between the trees, a figure. A man stepped out from behind a thick trunk, his eyes sharp and focused. In his hands was a bow, an arrow already drawn and pointed directly at Elias's chest. Don't move, the stranger said coldly. Elias froze. I'm just a fisherman, he said quickly, raising his hands. I landed here by accident. I'm trying to get back to my boat. The man didn't lower the bow. Instead, he stepped closer, studying Elias carefully. How did you find this island? He demanded. I didn't, Elias replied. I was fishing. I saw the island and came ashore, that's all. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then the stranger slowly walked behind Elias and tied his hands tightly with a rough vine. Walk, the man ordered. With no choice, Elias obeyed. They pushed through the dense forest until the trees suddenly opened. And what Elias saw next made his heart race. A hidden camp. Dozens of huts made from wood and leaves stood between the trees. Fires burned softly while men and women moved through the area, their eyes instantly locking onto the stranger who had arrived with a prisoner. Dozens of curious faces stared at Elias. He had stumbled onto something far bigger than an abandoned island. He had found a secret settlement, and now everyone wanted to know why he was there.